Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Get Sculpted podcast. This is Coach Marilyn, and I've got my two besties, Jordana and Tiana, here with me. And as usual, we have a great conversation coming your way. But first, I want to ask a question. Do you ever feel like you are very consistent Monday through Thursday with all the things, your training, nutrition, habits, and then Friday hits and everything goes out the window? You get to the end of the weekend and then you think to yourself, why the heck do I always do this? And you are in that loop constantly week after week. We're quite confident that a lot of you are nodding your heads because we work with a lot of women that come to us saying that this is exactly what they experience. So this chat is all about helping you out. It's going to be about helping you identify this loop that you're in and how you can get out of it. Because what we want you to know is that it's not that you can't be consistent. It is that your weekend is likely a different environment and different routine than your weekdays. So what you actually need is a weekend strategy. You cannot wing it, which is quite likely what you've been doing, right? So when I think of myself, I know that my weekends have a bit of a different structure than my weekdays. So maybe for you, it's the same. Maybe you have later nights, meals out, social gatherings. And after a long week, your brain is tired, right? You are working on three things. One, relief that the week's over. It's like, okay, the weekend's finally here. The second is reward, as in, I've had a long week. I've earned it. I should let loose on the weekend. And the third is permission, as in you feel like you can kind of ease up and don't worry, I'll get back to it on Monday. But as we've talked about on the podcast before, the problem comes in when it's not just one meal or one weekend. It's when you're doing this over and over and a domino effect happens. So today we're breaking this down into three parts, okay? We're going to talk about why your brain tells you that you earned it and how easily that can turn into a free-for-all. The second thing is we're going to bring up the topic of alcohol because that is a big, big one and it can have a big ripple effect on your weekend. And the third is talking to you about a solution because we want you to still be able to live your life and make progress at the same time, right? So while we have this conversation, what we want you to do is start thinking about your weekend pattern, right? Where does your weekend sabotage usually start? Maybe it's Friday night. Maybe it's Saturday, maybe it's Saturday night, maybe it's Sunday, whatever it is, pay attention because your strategy and your plan has to be built around your weak spot. All right. So ladies, are you ready to kick this one off? Because I know this is going to resonate with a lot of our listeners. Let's go. So Jord, would you start by telling us just like what's happening psychologically when the weekend hits? Because there is a lot of mindset around the weekend that we have to kind of parse through.
There's so much mindset here. And you're completely right in saying that it's almost like requiring two different mindsets, your Monday to Friday mindset or your Monday to like Friday at 3 p.m. mindset. Yeah. And then your Friday at 3 p.m. mindset through Monday morning.
Yeah.
And how you... Yeah, and how you prepare because, what you're likely happening is a couple of things. Like you're wanting to decompress from the week. You're like, I can finally let my guard down. I can finally relax. I have like fun things coming up or, now is finally quiet time. I have time to myself. And there's a couple things that are usually happening at this point. And you mentioned like the piece around earning it. And that's really important to understand where your head is at. Is it one or both, right? One or the other or both. So it could be you have a reward mindset, like I survived this week. I deserve something good. I deserve that glass of wine. I deserve that dessert. I deserve all these extra treats because I've worked so hard. I now need to reward myself for working hard, right? And then there's the other part where like you're giving yourself permission to break your standards, to break the promises that you've made to yourself and be like, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to fix it all up on Monday. And that's where like
back into it.
The restarting on Monday thing kind of circles itself. You need to ask yourself, which one is that? And is it both? And what's that language that's coming up in your mind as you're making those decisions to say, yeah, I'm just going to do takeout. Yeah, I'm just going to have one more bite. Yeah, I'm just going to have another glass of wine. What is that, the words that are playing through your mind? And then, when you are eating in that way, the relief part, your nervous system is actually doing some regulation. Like we've got these neural pathways that have been embedded over and over and over again with these habits. And this is one of those habits that helps soothe us, that helps calm us down.
Totally.
And we need to be thinking about like, how does that impact us? So like the weekends often feel like the only time that you're not in the week. You're not like you're on at work. You have less structure when you're at home. Maybe like the mental load is a little lighter. The decision fatigue has now caught up with you and you're just like, I am done with this. And the food is what is helping you cope with all of those emotions. Yeah. And it's not necessarily about hunger. And when I was going through my journey with my relationship with food, and, you know, I shared this the other week around the fact that like I would come home from work sometimes and eat like a whole row of cookies. And it's like, I wasn't actually hungry yet, or maybe I was kind of hungry, but not for that. I was just trying to regulate my emotions in that moment and decompress. And it's being able to identify like, are you actually hungry or not? And I love that acronym HALT. Like hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Like it's a really good self-assessment because you need to halt. You actually do need to stop yourself and then assess, what am I actually feeling? Am I actually hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? And then being able to reassess what you're going to do next with the food piece. And the other piece is like sometimes if you don't have the right strategy, your weekdays will feel very restrictive. It's like maybe you're eating 900
That's
calories.
The problem.
1,000 calories. And then you come to the weekend, you're like, oh my God, I just need to eat. I just need food.
Of course you're
I
hungry.
need to replenish. Of course you're hungry.
I have seen that
That's
over and over with women. Yep, totally.
It all comes back to it. I can relate. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like your brain learns those patterns through repetition over and over and over again. So if, like we said, those neural pathways have been embedded for so long, you have that routine that is now almost subconscious.
That's
like,
right.
How many times have you like
autopilot?
Autopilot. Yeah. How did I eat that? Where did that come from? How did that get in my shopping bag? Like I didn't even realize I brought home the chocolate covered almonds. Like
that's right.
We have heard these things from our clients before, and it's about interrupting those things and helping you reprogram what you're doing so that you can get very tactical. So I want to actually walk through, there's 4 steps here that we're going to walk through together. And this is how you're going to actually reframe some of this for yourself so that the weekends you're not going in blind. You're going in with a plan of how to actually manage these subconscious patterns that you've had. So what is your number one? What is your actual weekend pattern? So when does the sabotage start to happen? Is it the moment you walk through the door? Is it the moment you get into your car and you start driving home and you pass by the drive-through? Is it when the bottle of wine cracks open and you guys sit down for dinner? Is it grazing all afternoon on Saturday because you don't have any structure? What is it for you? You need to do the work and understand and observe a weekend without making any changes, just to take that information in.
I can relate to that wine thing. Sorry, I was going to say for me, when I think of my perfect Friday, it was always like a long week of like, you know, training clients. I've had it. It was so busy. And then I get home and we buy a bottle of wine and it's like the routine of like you pour it and then you have like a big sip and you just feel, you unwind. And then I remember thinking like, there's just no way that I would ever give this up because I deserve it. And to what we were saying earlier, it's like you want to build a life that you don't feel like you need that big decompression, right? Or you want to channel that into other things. So I just wanted to say that that's how I identified that. Like something goes off Friday. Even still, something goes off in my brain that's like it's Friday, but it's different. Yeah. It's not like, oh, it's Friday and it's time for the wine. It's more like it's Friday, so I'm in my Snuggie at 6 p.m.
And like what you did there, T, is like what the second step is like you swap the reward.
That's right.
You're like, I'm going to keep the reward. Like, I want to feel good in that moment. That Friday night should feel good. It should feel like an exhale. Like, every time I think of Friday afternoon, I'm like,
totally.
Like a release, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get that release differently? Right. Something that's going to be supportive in your life. So maybe it's like, that's the day you get a fancy latte. Maybe that's the day you guys do go out for dinner. But how you actually enjoy it looks different. You start to evolve into a new place.
Love that.
Love that.
The third one is the weekend intention. And I love this because, as you guys know, I do a Friday meeting with myself, and this is a ritual.
A lot of our clients, because we do momentum calls every week.
Yeah.
And this has actually been coming up week after week, at least in my call, about people starting to do that.
Yes.
Like some of them do it Thursday, Friday, but basically like that meeting with yourself to actually have a plan. Yes. So I just have to give you a shout out there because that
makes me so happy because those Friday meetings they were such a gift to myself. Yeah. Like it was permission for me to plan and really just like isolate that time. So I'm psyched that our girls are taking that on because that is so good. And
it's brilliant.
So I use this time, actually, that 20 minutes with myself, to be like, how do I want this weekend to feel? Yeah. What is my intention? What is going to make me feel proud of myself come Monday morning when things go back into like the regular rhythm? And if you do that Friday meeting with yourself or Thursday meeting, you can then also pull forward the things from the next week that you're like,
that's right.
I can pre-plan, I can feel ahead, I can feel proud of myself. Yeah. And then the whole reframe of the weekend, like it's not a free-for-all, it's actually an opportunity for you to dial yourself in.
That's right.
Continue to be your best self. What is your best self on the weekend versus what is your best self Monday to Friday?
That's right.
This kept me going when I was sober. I just want to say, like, the whole, like, how do you want to feel on Sunday?
Yeah.
Like,
so true.
It was whenever I was struggling with like, oh, I'd normally drink in this case, I thought to myself, just imagine waking up and not even at night, but in the morning feeling great.
That's right.
Like, just imagine what that feels like. Like, imagine, I remember I did used to get Sunday scaries. Did you guys get Sunday scaries?
1,000%.
Oh my God.
Yes.
When I was teaching,
my clothes.
Oh my God, I'm not joking. I would cry. There were days I cried.
No.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yep.
I don't remember the last time I had Sunday scaries. I think a lot of that is our lifestyle, of course, but it's also like, well, you're not kind of living with hangover and regret.
And I also think we're not living in extremes, right? And that's kind of the point of this episode, is to help bridge that gap between, you know, these days of the week looking so much like this, and then these days of the week looking like this.
Hell and heaven.
That's
pretty much. That's actually a perfect way to describe it. So yeah.
I love that. And having that moment for reflection, that's the pause. Like, that's the piece that most people don't do. And so even if you're like sitting in front of a plate of desserts, you can pause for just a little extra second and be like, am I doing this out of habit? Am I doing this out of hunger? Am I like, what am I feeling right now? Because if it is not out of hunger and it's something else, the data suggests that within about 90 seconds of waiting, you get that logic back. Your emotion runs its course and your logical brain can come back into control. You can choose. So if you can wait 90 seconds and delay that gratification just a little bit, you are going to make a far better decision. So we really want to encourage you to learn the pause. If you do nothing, that we just talked about, and all you do is this pause, you are going to make progress. Yeah. And I think the key message is here, like, you don't need to stop having fun. You just need to use your weekends slightly differently. Like, use it as recovery, reframe it so that you're ready to go back into the Monday in a better space. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And if you are thinking like, this is literally me right now, like everything that you're saying is exactly what happens to me all week long. I'm white knuckling it. Friday hits and I completely fall apart. The good news is, like, you're not alone, because this is one of the biggest things we do with our clients. We help them work through this. And remember, it's about building that structure that works with your life and not just having the willpower to carry you through the weekend, because willpower is a muscle that actually decreases with use. Doesn't build up, you know, we don't get stronger with it. It actually decreases. And so if you're tired of that Monday guilt, the spiral, the Sunday scaries, and you want help creating a plan that lets you have a social life without sabotaging your progress, we have our applications open at getsculpted.ca/contact. We would love to hear from you and help you figure out what your specific weak spots are when it comes to the weekend, so that it is no longer your weekend. It is the piece that anchors you and helps you build momentum to get to your goals faster. And so, like, T, I would love for you to take us through one of the sneakiest weekend triggers, aka alcohol. Lay it on us.
Absolutely. So first, I'm going to start by setting the scene, because I really want to highlight for you just how my weekends used to look. Because
you're the perfect person to talk about this, actually.
You really
love this.
Absolutely. Because this was the biggest game changer for me. And I remember thinking, like, when I drank, like, you know, if it wasn't for alcohol, I would really be hitting every goal, right? Like, physique wise, productivity wise. And now that I have that time back, I'm like, man, I bought all my weekends back. And it just has amplified my life in so many ways. And this might not be what you want to hear, but, like, we got to be honest, right? Because I think what I wanted to hear when I was in that was like, hey, this is how you can fit in these, you know, 5 drinks a week and still make progress. But what I really needed to hear was like, this is a low-hanging fruit, girl. Just stop. This is not doing you any favors, because here's the reality of it, right? It's not just the calories. People are obsessed with, the low sugar wine and this and that. It's all calories, number one. It's all extra, you know, intake that you're taking in, but it also is going to impact your sleep.
Right.
And especially as you get older, like, you know, we all know that it just gets harder and harder.
It does.
It's going to amplify your hunger. Your cravings are going to increase and your decision making is impaired. So all of a sudden, like, you're not making the same decisions. You're not operating from the same place you normally would. And let me tell you, drinking alcohol brings you right back to your 1.0 self.
Yes, it does.
Straight up. Like, if you go back to that previous episode, I think it was the very last one that we did. Yeah, we were talking about your standards. Like, this is really where, like, if you want the most impactful thing to elevate your standards, it's really operating from your highest level, right? So if you think about what alcohol does, these are just the facts. It is going to impair your sleep, right? Like, even if you fall asleep right away after a couple drinks and it kind of like calms you down, it's actually been shown that it's not going to put you in that deep REM sleep. So
that's right.
You know, you could wake up after, like, I know when I used to drink, it would be like sleeping in and you're not rested. So
that's
it's like
right.
a double whammy. It's like worse sleep and wasted time. Like, what terrible combo. And you're going to have like more cravings for like salty kind of carby foods the next day. Like, I remember it was not even the night of drinking. It was like the next day that was the write-off. And I just felt like it was like insatiable.
Yes.
Totally. It's not doing you any favors. It's really not. And then the lowered inhibition, of course, right? Like, you know, a couple drinks and all of a sudden, you know, I don't even want to mention on this podcast where the night took me, but then the night would take you toward all of a sudden the breadbasket doesn't just look like you're having one piece.
or God, I remember, like, it's like 2 and 3 in the morning. Let's go get poutine. Let's go get pizza.
My God, the drunk munchies.
Oh my God.
That was insane, because I remember I would eat all my calories, just thinking about the calories for the day, and then go out and eat a whole other, you know,
probably 2 days worth
and the fries. 2
Seriously.
meals easily. And
plus
oh my
all
God.
The drinks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good combo.
In the adult form of that, before it was like you hit the club and then you hit McDonald's, but now it's like, it's like the wine and the charcuterie.
It's
right?
true.
All of a sudden I'm like, damn, I ate 1,000 calories worth of cheese easily.
Right. Yeah.
And that brings me to my next thing. You're going to be dehydrated, and you know, you're just not going to be in a good state. You're not going to be in a good state. That's not your 2.0 self, and we want more for you. So
you know what blew my mind when I learned about alcohol was that it takes your liver 24 hours to process every ounce of alcohol you drink.
That's wild.
I was like, whoa, 1 glass, what? Like, how long will it take to process 1 glass of wine? And most people are having 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 drinks. Like, it's going to take you like a week to process all of that. Like, that's wild.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I remember way back when we did a little session for the girls on alcohol, George, you led that. And I don't know this, my husband makes fun of me all the time, because one of the things that you talked about was how, like, what alcohol actually is. And it's like ethanol, right? Like, it's, so every time, I swear this is a true story. Every time I go to the gas station and I pump gas, I come back in the car and I'm like, that's like drinking alcohol. It's ethanol. Yeah. And so Mike makes fun of me all the time. Every time someone's drinking, he looks at me and he goes, ethanol. But like, again, listen, I want to just preface this with, it's not that we are anti-alcohol. We have made the decision for ourselves that it doesn't necessarily have a place in our 2.0 selves.
Yes.
But I just think people have to be a little bit more intentional with this, because the reality is it does nothing for you. Like, it has zero nutritional benefit. And if you look at the laundry list of things that it does that are not ideal for your body and your health, to me, it's just that it just doesn't make sense for me. But it doesn't make sense.
I totally agree. I will say that, like, I want to speak to the woman here who is loving alcohol, because I get it. Like, here's the thing, you guys, I love you guys, but I don't think you were ever big drinkers, right?
No.
So like a lightweight from the start.
That's what I'm saying. But whenever anyone's like, I remember being so jealous of people, like, I could have a drink or take it or leave it. I'm like, take it or leave it.
I remember having this converation with you in Vegas. And remember you were like, before we went to Vegas, you were like, you don't drink? I was like, nah.
Yeah, I'm like, but you can. Like, you fully can. And I always, no, okay. So before.
No, it's good to have this conversation.
I always thought that people who said that were, it's like, you know, that meme that's like, oh, people who say they wake up at 5 a.m., they're just faking it. They're I was always like, you know, people who say they don't need a drink, I bet they're just faking that. They're just putting on a show. They're lame. And then now I'm like, I'm one of those lame people, because, okay, so here's the thing. From my perspective, I just always, my weekend's so centered around that, and the dinner's out centered around that, and the weddings did, that I got to the point where I'm like, oh my God, imagine going to that place and not drinking. Like, how lame. Now I want to reframe for people just to show them what my weekend
this is
good.
Like,
right? Before it was like, it's not that I was going out with my friends a lot, because, you know, I had a young family, right? But it would be like me and Brian, we have our wine on the Friday, and then when we get a babysitter, we go out. But now it's like, what I look forward to on Friday is I get in my Snuggie at like 6 p.m. and then I always have a fridge full of ice cold Diet Crush. So good. And then, we make the popcorn, and then typically I'll have my free meal that night.
Yeah.
And we don't really go out to eat much, but we could. I just choose not to. And then it's just a matter of like, no, I'm unreachable. My phone is,
Yeah.
I'm putting
You
it away,
disconnect.
and we're binge watching like a TV show that we like. That to me is the perfect Friday. And then in the morning, I'm up and I feel awesome. And I'm actually working like on myself, not just in the business. And that is my new like reward to myself.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
And then when we do a date night too, it's like a reframe of like, it's an activity that like makes us feel good, right? Like, oh, we're going to try rock climbing. Or, okay, we're going to try this class. And, we haven't done anything very interesting in a long time, but it could be as simple as like going out for sushi.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those things are a lot more enjoyable when like you kind of like add up. For me, it was adding up all the missed days. Because like whenever people would say,
that's a good point.
I always thought it was lame too when people are like, oh, I don't want to waste a day being hungover. I'm like, it's just one day. Like you could,
Yeah.
And now I'm like, it's not just one day. It's like the whole weekend pretty much, because it's like you're
For a
drinking
lot of
and being
people,
not
they only
productive.
have 2 days for the weekend, right? So that's the
Exactly.
thing.
You only have and then you're backpedaling and your physique is never getting anywhere. It's like one
Yeah.
step forward, 2 steps back. So like this is your wake up call that like that's causing that, right? So yeah, that's my spiel to you about.
No, it's good that you speak to
the
that
alcohol.
because you are right. You came at this from a bit of a different perspective. I love hearing your story because it was such a big part of your life, and now you have ascended to this next level, and I love it. Talk about it all you want.
So for the girls that aren't quite ready to let go of alcohol, how would you help them navigate it to the best of their ability?
Good point. So you always want to go into it with a plan, right? And this comes back to food and alcohol, but we get our clients to look at their week honestly, because the last thing you want is to not be armed and ready, and then you have all these events and you're like, oh, I overdid it and I didn't mean to. So look at your week, right? Like, let's say you have a big wedding coming up and you're getting together with your family and you're like, look, I'm not going to be sober. That's okay. Set a goal. Be like, I'm going to have a glass of water between every drink, or I'm going to have a set time that I'm going to stop drinking alcohol.
Yes, I love that.
And that's it. And then, or like set a limited number of drinks and you're going to nurse the drink, or like, you have a plan for like, I am going to drink, but I'm not going to finish a drink in, like 2 sips kind of thing, right? Like you're going to like really pace yourself and enjoy the moment. And it's the same with food. It's intentional. And then there's no guilt around it.
Yes.
And then, you might look at the other events and say like, yeah, I actually could be the designated driver in this thing because I'm not too crazy about drinking at this barbecue, right? Like I'm actually
be selective.
Right. Like, and then you're looking at your week, and then all of a sudden it's not just a free for all. And then maybe you set a new standard that I don't drink at home on a weeknight, right? Like I drink at special events, and that's it. What would you girls add that are good rules you tell your clients to go by?
Pretty much what you said. Like, I think like setting that standard of like, what is the limit is the number one thing. And then how are they going to enjoy that limit when they're out? And then I think also the next day, what are they doing to set themselves up for continued success? And having a plan for that is pretty much like in a nutshell for me.
Yeah. And I'm very similar. The only thing I would add is what you said, T, about like kind of being a little bit more intentional with when you drink. So for some, especially when the warm weather comes and there's a lot more social events, I've had conversations with my clients where it's like, okay, I've got these 3 events this week, or I've got something, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the conversation is around, well, okay, like let's talk about what happens if you drink at all of those. Or the alternative, if you make a conscious like choice. So maybe it's limiting the amount of drinks at each one of those, or actually saying, you know what? Yeah, I don't really need to drink at this one. Maybe this one is one that I want to drink at because of X, Y, Z. It's a plan and being intentional. I think that's kind of like the theme of this episode is like, if you go into any of these situations with no thought, just winging it, it almost always won't go the way that you want it to go. Right. So
absolutely,
just having that conversation.
So that's a good point, actually. So I was going to actually ask you, Merrick, help us transition to like, what are some strategies that we can implement on the weekend? Like, talk to us about that.
Yeah, because we're all about actionable steps. So I think it's become very clear that for a lot of women, the weekday, or I say weekdays, and the weekend don't always look the same, right? Weekday life, there's a grind, you're getting the kids ready for school, it's go, 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 go. And for the weekend, it just looks different for a lot of us. So the idea is that the goal stays the same, the execution is what changes, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have structure. You cannot wing it in either of those two situations, but the approach can be different. Like that's very appropriate to have a different approach. So the way I like to think about it and the way I talk to my clients about it is have 2 plans. Like, why are we trying to take this plan Monday to, let's say, Friday at 3:00 and fit it into the weekend or vice versa? Like that's not working. So we can't just keep saying, oh, there's another weekend. Oh, there's another weekend. Create 2 solid plans or 2 tracks. Weekdays might be a little bit more repetitive, a bit more routine because again, it's busy, right? The weekend might have a bit more flexibility. So keep structure, just make it look different. So I think everyone listening, your job is to look at your weekend instead of leaving it to chance and create that plan. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. So think about it. It's like, what are you going to do to set yourself up for success to prevent that spiral? What will you do to prevent yourself from going off track? And then what is your plan for different situations, whether it's a social event or something like that? And so I want to get really practical and give everyone listening 3 kind of anchors that we want you to hold on to, so you can actually put this plan in motion. Like, it's Thursday, so the weekend is coming. You can put this in motion right away. So the first one I always tell my clients is when Saturday hits, have that on plan breakfast, protein forward. You might not wake up as early because one of the things a lot of clients say is I sleep in and then I just miss my breakfast. No, make that an intentional part of your day, right?
Yeah. So don't do that.
Right. I actually use the extra time on the weekend to my advantage. I will be more creative, right? So maybe Monday to Friday, I'll be a little bit more routine, but I love making protein pancakes or protein waffles, or, you know what I mean? Just more of a kind of breakfast event.
Yeah. More leisurely breakfast. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. But what this is going to do is it will stabilize your hunger. So that way you're not free for alling it with food the rest of the day. Right? Yeah. So be intentional with that. The second one is to be intentional also with your movement. So this is where we will tell our clients, you have a bit more time on the weekend. Even if you have a social event in the evening, block time off in your day to get movement in.
It's 45 minutes.
I love front loading my work. I actually front load my workouts. My workout week sometimes starts on Saturday. So Saturday, Sunday, I'll do my first 2 workouts.
It's the best time.
Why not?
But I realized if I put my workout off, because I am guilty of if I don't put it in my calendar, I hate doing it at night.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
I made a rule for myself. I don't work out when it's dark outside. I just don't like it. It just doesn't feel good.
No, that's fair.
If you can do that. So I'm saying you're right, Mare, schedule it in the weekend. And so it's not when I get to it, even if you're working out at home, because then you'll be all resentful. It's 8 p.m. I don't want to do this now,
Yeah.
Oh, and if you have plans, that's the thing. You're not going to want to do it when you get home from your weekend plans. So make that part of your front loaded in the day on the weekend. I love doing that with my weekend. And the third thing, whether it is the food you're going to eat or the alcohol, you need to choose whatever you're going to consume mindfully and intentionally. Mm-hmm. So the weekends do come with a lot more social events often. So it is the perfect time to practice the pre-planning, the mindful eating. Jord, you mentioned things like the pause. T, you mentioned some strategies around alcohol. You can't make it a free-for-all because, like we said, you're just not going to make the choices that align with your 2.0 self. You're not going to. So have a plan, action that plan, and then no matter what, reflect on that plan, right? We just don't want it to be this completely different situation between work week and weekend, because it will be the step forward, step back. So that's why if the weekend doesn't go the way that you planned, don't punish yourself. Don't start again Monday. Just re-anchor. Come back to the basics. We say that saying sometimes: reflect, redirect, keep going. No guilt, no shame. Is there anything that you girls would add as kind of weekend anchors that we haven't touched on? Those,
I think we've covered them.
Yeah, those tend to be
those are the big ones.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. The weekend is everything, like you said. That's the North Star that we come back to.
Mm-hmm. Yes, perfect. I love it. So let's take this episode home then. If there is something we want you to remember, we want you to remember it all, always. But this is the big thing. You are capable of breaking the weekend sabotage cycle that you're in. And no, it does not mean that you have to give up your social life, miss out on life. In fact, one of our big pillars, Get Sculpted, is about that, making this fit into your life, not overhauling, but holding yourself to a different standard. Mm-hmm. You need a weekend strategy. You cannot just keep going into the weekend, hoping and wishing for the best. You can have flexibility, but you also need structure. That is what is going to move you forward, right? So if you want to do this right now, like we said at the beginning, identify your weak spot. Where does your weekend fall apart? For some of you, it might be Friday, where you get home and you're like, oh, I just want that glass of wine. Maybe it's Saturday meals out. Maybe it's your Sunday is hungover, so you're just grazing all day. Figure out what your weak spot is on the weekend. And then second, any of those anchors that we talked about, put those in place. Put one in place even right now. And the last one, again, no matter how it goes, re-anchor. Right? Every day is a new opportunity to re-anchor yourself. So if you went through those steps, you're listening and you're thinking, okay, I know what I need to do, but I still need accountability. I really have trouble following through. That is what we are here for. We help women build these exact strategies, and then we coach them through the implementation week after week. Because here's the truth as well. Like, you might have a great weekend, but then there might be a weekend that isn't that great. And that's totally normal. You're human. But that's where we as coaches can help you strategize and implement. So if you are ready to stop losing your progress every weekend and build real consistency that includes your actual life, we have a few coaching spots opening up. You can fill out an application at getsculpted.ca/contact, and we will help you create that weekend strategy that works for you. So remember, the weekend doesn't need a new you. It needs a prepared you. And your progress doesn't need perfect, ideal circumstances for the weekend. It just needs a planned weekend. And on that note, we hope you have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week, and a great weekend. Talk to you in the next episode.
Yeah. You got this.
Bye.